Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of League Chat with the Stat. Thank you for joining me once again this week on another cracker edition of League Chat with the Stat coming up for you. Now, guys, very excited. Our merch is here. Cracker White Hat here, at the front of the League Chat with the Stat logo, and at the back, LCWTS. Very excited to be bringing out this merch for you guys. I know I've heard your cries, and I've heard your pleas to bring out some merch. We're finally here. We've got some merch here happening. Make sure to tune in to this week just to see when things are going to be coming out, especially with the hats, when we're dropping out this merch. Very excited to be giving this all and bringing it out for you guys to thank you all for being part of the journey. You get the first bit of merch, so it's very exciting to hear. Guys, thank you for joining me on another episode. Let's get straight into it. Going through the ladder, the only undefeated team at the moment are the Penrith Panthers on 18 points. You got the Eels outright second on 16, Storm Rabbitohs sharing the lead on 14 points. You got the Roosters on 12 and 5th, 6th of the Dragons on 10 with that win over the Dogs. To round out the top 8, you've got Titans Warriors on 8 points. 9th, 10th, 11th, Sea Eagles, Knights and Cowboys all on 8 points as well. Got the Raiders only on 6 at 12th. 13th position, they've dropped a bit, the Sharks, and down to 13th. Sharing the lead with Broncos and Tigers, 14th and 15th, and the Dogs outright last on 2 points at 16th. So, guys, appreciate you joining me again for another great episode of League Chat with the Stat. Again, so wrapped about these hats, I won't lie. I'm very excited that they're finally out, but I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on them. Now, getting through everything round 9. Getting straight into it, Storm 50 defeating the Rabbitohs 0. And what a great performance from the Storm. Now, listen, I wouldn't have expected that. I knew Rabbitohs were missing some key reinforcements in the Troll, in Adam Reynolds, in Cam Murray. But 50-0 was really not a good excuse, especially by Wayne Bennett coach side. But the Storm was just a whitewash. They dominated them in every area. You know, they were just brilliant in every step of the way through their attack and their defence. And Rabbitohs, like I said, they missed some star power, but shocking. You know, Bennett said he saw it coming. I couldn't have said I saw that coming. But 50-0, regardless of where you are, regardless of the caliber of the team that you have, while for the clubs like Panthers, sometimes the Sharks, but even now the Roosters, you know, that mentality of the next man up is really important. From what we can see here, the Rabbitohs don't have that mentality. You know, it's the next person that comes up needs to do a job, but can't get it done. You know, Dean Hawkins was woeful on Thursday night. I didn't think he was that good. No one in the team was fantastic. You know, no Rabbitohs player actually made over 100 metres. So that didn't really get to support the halves in, you know, their attack. You know, Cody Walker was really poor as well, playing at fullback, because Storm just dominated them. In every facet of the game, they just dominated them. Good to see Josh Adokar finally break the try scoring record in a game. It's been 5 tries for so long. Not since the 1950s have ever had someone score more than 5 tries, but big Josh Adokar found a way to go and score 6 tries. Now, what a beast. What a player. Just continually dominating himself and just letting everyone know, just reminding them all that he is one of the better wingers in the game. But yeah, look, as I said, you can't take away from Storm. They were flawless. You know, these fringe players with Rabbitohs need to step it up. But yeah, look, when you got to come up against the Storm, regardless of the person that they had missing too, it's really no excuse. Look, I thought Dale Finucane and Christian Welch were the two standouts for me for the Storm. 8-10 runs, 161 metres, 2 tackle breaks and 22 tackles for Dale Finucane. For Christian Welch, 9-10 runs, 184 metres, a tackle break, 3 offloads and 22 tackles. Big performance from these boys again, especially Christian Welch stepping it up and having another impressive performance in about a 55-minute stint in that game. The next game, Panthers versus the Sharks, and it was 48-0, another 0 scoreline. Just another whitewash. Like, we talk about Panthers every week, them just being on another level, but you know what? So are the Sharks. They just keep getting worse. You know, they've done nothing to help their cause. Like, they've had players come back. You know, I've never seen a team who's had players come back and decent players come back too. Then you see for Talakai and Sean Johnson, and they're still performing as bad as they are. You know, with so much turmoil going on off the field with their board and that decision to sack Craig Fitzgibbon to sack John Morris for Craig Fitzgibbon to come in next year, but then to get rid of that cohesion for the year, the Sharks are sitting 13th now, which is very, very, very embarrassing. Considering that they were in the top 8 when John Morris had left the club, they're now sitting 13th. Sharks are going to come out actually and say, you know, we're happy with how we're going, but they are in absolute turmoil. And mate, good luck to Craig Fitzgibbon coming into that club because he's going to have to change a lot. But with that being said, no Sharks forwards made any impact. Same with the Rabbitohs. You know, they had both very similar games. Both forward packs did absolutely nothing, and we know what type of games that these forward packs can play and what they're capable of. But unfortunately, in this situation, the Sharks were just dominated again by Penrith, who are just sublime. Their football is fantastic. You know, almost every Panther player had over 100 metres. Think about every Penrith player had 100 metres, and their forward pack of 6 blokes couldn't get anywhere near 100 metres. Very disappointing. But Brian To'o, again, his numbers just impeccable. They're just through the roof. 26 runs, 309 metres, 132 post-contact metres, 3 tackle breaks and 2 offloads. That was without a try. He didn't score a try in that 48-0 scoreline, but he just laid the platform. He just works hard. He gets through so much in that 80 minutes, and we've just seen it again. I want to find the spot for him in my Origin team, but at the moment, because it's so stacked, I don't know. But he's definite smoky for me. And as I said, with the Panthers forwards, all of them killed it. James Fisher-Harris, Moses Leota, cramming up 180, 190 metres plus. Very solid hit outs from them. Their bench forwards, did well. Matt Eisenuth got over the try line, made 130 metres as well. So everyone's buying into that, what they're doing at the Panthers. Even the new kids like Matt Eisenuth, buying into what's happening there and really just killing it. And in such a fun environment, and they're just enjoying their football and enjoying each other's company, like I mentioned all the time. It's so important, especially when they're going ahead and trying to get that premiership, especially from when they lost last year. So, mate, Panthers 48-0 to the Sharks, and the Sharks have so many issues that they've got going on. They really need to start turning it around, and it has to be as soon as possible. The Eels 31 defeated the Roosters 18. Now, Eels did enough to hang on in this game. You'd think you'd expect a little bit better from them. Come up against the Roosters side, who were very depleted and under strength. And the Roosters, mate, they just show all heart. Like in every game they play, they just show a lot of heart. They don't have their full squad. They don't have much of their full squad there. Week by week, they just keep losing players. I really, really do feel sorry for them. Drew Hutchinson left with a punctured lung and broken ribs. Very hard to see. Look, Matty Cavallo came back, but he had to go off for HRA. Radley went off for HRA, didn't come back. They just lost a lot of key personnel in that game, and it was really sad to see. Losing Radley 9 minutes in, very, very hard for them. But the refs not sin-binning Brown and Niukore for those shots on Hutchinson and Tedesco is ridiculous. Dylan Brown, there was no intent for him to obviously go out there and try to knee the guy in the ribs. But that is a sin bin every day. That is a professional foul every single day. And especially with them wanting to crack down and the NRL coming out saying we're going to crack down on these illegal plays and that, then why wasn't he sin bin? Why was Dylan Brown not sin bin? Marata Niukore too. That was, so blatant of a shoulder charge. My goodness. If you see Niukore, obviously Tedesco's slipping in the tackle, and I understand that. But he still collected him, shouldered with everything he had, shouldered straight into his head. For the refs not to sin bin any of these players is dumb. But the thing that frustrates me the most is that, like Trent Robinson said in the press conference, at halftime, they come out at halftime, Tedesco gets pulled in and says, by the way, that incident is on report from what happened then. Didn't need to take 10, 15 minutes of the game to stop. And with that many replays shown, the bunker needs to step in and say, no, he needs to go. I just feel like there are idiots that sit in the bunker and they do absolutely nothing. And they just tap away and they just watch the game like they're a bunch of robots. They need to get in there. They need to have some bit of power to overturn the ref's decision if they see something a little dangerous. They have to. It's ridiculous. Yes, the refs, they make mistakes. They're human. But at the same time, if you have that much backup, how the hell can you not see that? It's got to change. Something's got to change. I keep volunteering myself in there and hoping I get a gig one day in the bunker because I'm telling you now, if I get a gig in the bunker and I see something shady, they are off. They have to get off. But it does change the game. If you sin bin two of those players in Dylan Brown and Marata Niukore, it's 13 on 11 for 10 minutes. Yeah, all right, Roosters are depleted, but any side that has two more players than the other, they're going to show that what they're capable of and they're going to pile on the points. So, look, very, very tough. Nat Butcher played with a lot of heart, made 70 tackles, made 120 metres as well, playing about an 8-minute stint there. And Isaiah Papali'i getting better with every game he plays for the Eels. 23 runs, 175 metres, 7 tackle breaks, 3 offloads and 28 tackles. Just those numbers are just huge and the impact he makes, and to be in the starting side over Sean Lane is a big call as well. So, it was good to see him really dominating and not being like a 4-game wonder. He's really consistently putting in the big numbers and putting in the massive efforts, which is really good to see and exactly what Parra need. Now, I think Bryce Cartwright as well came off the bench, scored 2 tries as well. I thought his impact was wonderful. And he's looking a lot more relaxed and a lot happier. Without having a massive pay packet on him, just letting him play his game, letting him do what he needs to do is really suiting him at the moment. The Eagles are utilising him extremely well, so credit to the Eagles for that. The Knights 24 defeated the Raiders 16. Another game where it was a tale of two halves. The Raiders came out off the blocks, stock standard Raiders for the last 6-7 weeks. Come out firing in the first half, 16-0. Get out to halftime and get a bit of a comfortable lead as well. It's not like they're leading 2-0 or 4-0 halftime. It's up 16-0. They're up 2 converted tries, 2.5 converted tries. But they come out again and they lose. And it's happened way too often for the Raiders. And everyone's like, "Oh, good on the Knights, give them credit." Yeah, you're right. They came on and they attacked well and did enough to crack the Raiders and to score 4 tries. But on any other occasion, the Raiders do not lose to the Knights. No way. There's no chance that they do. In the last 6 to 8 games, the Raiders have lost the second half 93 to 8. I know you guys have heard this before, but I just wanted to repeat that. 93 to 8 in the second half. That's ridiculous. I don't know what the heck goes on at halftime when they're leading, but their morale just drops. They look like they aren't playing for each other. There's just so much going on at the club that they need to turn it around. Like, this is not the Canberra Raiders that we know. But it's been like this for the last 5 to 6 weeks. They're starting to accept a lot of mediocrity. Ricky Short isn't about that. There's just so many players, whose wives are getting on Instagram and making us look. There's players out there, a lot of them are getting injured, which is really unfortunate to see. But you get those that are just drop off. They're not putting in the bigger minutes. They're not putting in as much of an impact as they used to. Something that has to change. This has to change. Ricky Stewart needs to find a way to get through these idiots and say, guys, play up. Come on. Now, I don't think it takes Stewart to do that, but I think he's going to have to stoop down and do something like that. They've got to... There's no better chance to do it than this week against the Dogs for Magic Round, where they can really turn it around and put in a decent performance. So, look, only time will tell, but yeah, with the Raiders, it's just kind of struggle street at the moment. Dave Klemmer, 20 runs, 205 metres, 3 tackle breaks and offload and 27 tackles. Another big effort from him. I'd like to see more of that from Dave Klemmer. He's really dropped off the ranks in terms of origin and where he's been at a club. He hasn't really been the same player he was at the Dogs with coming with that impact, so it's going to be a tough one for him to try and find that mojo, but really needs to get back in that frame if he wants to be considered for State of Origin. Daniel Scifiday, again, those two starting, when they want to lay the platform, they do really well. 15 runs, 171 metres and 27 tackles. But I thought Josh Papali'i was the best for the Raiders. 12 runs, 131 metres, a line break, 6 tackle breaks, 3 offloads and 24 tackles. He just comes on, does his job. He's flawless, in everything he does. And it's been really good to see. The game at Leichhardt, Titans 36 defeating the Tigers 28. I just feel like any time that there is some sort of an occasion that the Tigers really need to aim up, they don't aim up. They don't play good at all. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But the last few Tommy Vodonicus games that they've played, in memory of him, they wore the jersey or, it was just after he had passed away, they were shocking. They were so bad. Look, the Titans just needed to win. They just needed to find a way to win, and they did that. It looked like defence was not on the agenda tonight. On that game on Saturday night. There was no agenda for defence. Because if you look at both sides, Titans 36, Tigers 28. It's ridiculous. 64 points scored in the game. It's really dumb. Titans got out to a quick lead once again. They're like 16-0 after 16 minutes. But they still allowed Tigers to come back and still have a bit of a sniff. But they just needed that win. I think that they got that win. They can just build off that and learn how to be a bit more consistent. But yeah, the Tigers, they just suck, in so many areas. Adam Dwyer, he's just busting his chops every week and plays so well at 5'8". He is a bit of a ball hog at times, but he's still playing very, very good football. But the Tigers, when they want to turn it on, they turn it on. I don't understand. They can turn it on at any point in the game, but they don't. And they don't do it for 80 minutes. They don't like to get out to a comfortable lead. They love to chase. I don't know why they love the chase, but it's really frustrating. Because defensively, they're like, oh, wow, we know how to play attacking football for the last 11 minutes of a game. They scored like 3 tries in 12 minutes. Why does it have to take for them to be so far behind for them to start making an impact? I don't understand. And I feel like Maguire is still putting up with a lot of mediocrity. Some of these backs that he's got are just hopeful. They're just woeful. Not hopeful, they're woeful. And I know I speak to a lot of Tigers fans on a regular basis, and they're really sick of it. They're sick of this mediocrity. They're sick of half the players that are in there that shouldn't even be in first grade. But the changes that Maguire makes, they're all around Luke Brooks. But he's not really performing either. But there are other people that are, having to lose out on it because of Luke Brooks and him having to be at number 7. It's another long road for the Tigers. But yeah, look, at home, to be losing games at home as conveniently and as ridiculous as you are, mate, it's hard to watch. And I'm a Dogs fan, and I'm sitting there feeling I feel for Tigers fans. It's really bad at the moment. Dave Fafita, apart from the sin bin, played a pretty good game. 18 runs, 146 metres, a line break, a try assist, 8 tackle breaks, 5 offloads, 29 tackles. Big performance. Really good performance from Dave Fafita. Always brings out the big numbers. He's always destructive. And he just knows what he needs to do to get it done, especially against the weaker defensive side like the Tigers. The Cowboys 19 defeated the Broncos 18, and this was such a good game. The whole 80 minutes. I loved every single second of this game. It was the best Queensland derby I've seen in years. Thrilling stuff right to the end of the game, with Valentine Holmes kicking that field goal. But Broncos, again, they struggled to hold on for the entire 80 minutes. They were up 18-12. They were up pretty comfortable. They were doing all right. But it took a soft try from Jason Taumalolo, very soft try, for him to come in and to the way he just changed motion, changed it, and then stepped onto the left foot step, and then went straight through under the post. He left Isako by himself. And the second Isako got rolled, and he was in the defensive line. So the second he got rolled, there was one there behind him. I think Flegler would try to make a tougher tackle, but Flegler and Taumalolo will munch anyone one-on-one. So, look, it's tough for the Broncos, and then to concede that much field position as well, it's not good. Especially when you're leading up and it's 18-all and you're trying to do everything you can to defend it out. They popped out like 70, 80 metres before Valentine Holmes went and kicked the field goal. So, Broncos still not 100% there, but it was a much better performance, but they're never consistent. And that's the problem. If they can stick it out for 80 minutes, it's a different contest, and they should win that game. So, but look, I thought in the 71 minutes Jason Taumalolo played, which was the most he's played this year, he was fantastic. 20 runs, 231 metres, 90 post-contact metres, a try, a line break, 5 tackle breaks, and offloaded 34 tackles. Why he's playing 45 minutes a game, it's hard to see. He is the one that keeps that forward pack together. He's the one that is there and just keeps it all, united. They just keep it strong. It's just crazy to watch. And without him being there for big minutes, at least 60, 65 minutes, it's not going to help that Cowboys side. So, look, as I said, I know they're doing it for concerns and for the longevity of the game, but at the same time, his numbers are just so good. And the longer he's on the field, the better the Cowboys look. The Eagles 38 defeating the Warriors 32. Again, defense not on the agenda for this game. Another 70 points conceded here. But look, I thought this was a very entertaining game. I thought the Seagulls came out pretty well. Warriors got off to a fast start, and then it was really neck on neck stuff until Jabojevic really just turned it on. How this guy does it week in, week out is just unreal. I love watching Jabojevic play. And I'm loving the fact that he's, injury-free and there's nothing that's bothering him and everything is, he's doing so well. But look at some of his stats. And this is why I freak out. This is why I mainly pride on him being there week in, week out. And the fact that when he gets injured and you just see the whole morale of the team drop. It's amazing how much he does for that club. 18 runs, 235 metres. Okay. Apart from that, he also scored 2 tries. Then 5 line breaks, 3 line break assists, 4 try assists, 8 tackle breaks. That's flawless. They're wonderful numbers from the fullback. Great numbers. And he hasn't dipped since his return. And look at Manly, they're bloody 1 win out the 8. And it's fantastic. And now Hazard's gone from almost being sacked to almost having Paul Green come in to bring back Tom Trbojevic, and look at how everything just falls into place. It's great. It's so good. And what he does for them is fantastic. Yeah, look, defensively they weren't good. But so were the Warriors. The Warriors got to a 16-14 halftime lead, or 20-12 halftime lead, sorry. Up by 8. They've done enough to, try to hold the Seagulls out. Obviously, Trbojevic scored 2 tries on them in the first half. Especially right after each other. But the second Turbo turned it on, the Warriors just let go. And they went and conceded 4 or 5 tries. And yeah, they tried a bit of a fight back at the end, but no point. There was really no point of that. But I just thought, every one of those players, for Manly just really needed to step it up. Especially the forward pack, without having as Martin Tapau there, and Tanyana Paseka, got copping a HIA as well. Would have been very tough to, see. But I thought the standing guy, Sean Kepi, 18 runs, 176 metres with 53 post-contact, coming in there with a tackle break and 20-odd tackles, which was very good to see from him. It was about 22 tackles he made as well, which was big numbers from him, and I thought it was really impressive. But with the Warriors as well, they talk about Tohu Harris and, the impact he has in games, and, even recently Josh Curran. But Tohu Harris was very busy, 14 runs, 90 metres, very quiet in terms of gaining a lot of yards. But, he scored a try, made a line break assist, try assist, and 3 tackle breaks. To go with that, he also made an offload and 42 tackles. So it was a very complete performance from Tohu Harris. Obviously, didn't break over that 100-meter barrier in terms of his hit-ups, but he still did enough and still was very creative for the Warriors. And it really helped him out where he could. I thought it was really poor coaching, from Nathan Brown. Not only with the fact that Reece Walsh was benched, but he only played 20 minutes. And he made an impact straight away. He scored a try, set up another one, made a really big impact. And he knew he stuffed up, Nathan Brown. He knew he stuffed up the second he left him on the bench for that long. Anytime he would have been injected, he could have been just that little pocket rocket that goes and changes everything up. So, look, I'm sure that Nathan Brown will learn from that, knowing the potential of Reece Walsh and just how good he is. So, it's just a matter of see how they go from here, the Warriors. But nonetheless, it was a good win from the Eagles. And, good to see them finally enjoying football again and everything along those lines. But just, again, without Trbojevic, we all know that they're in a massive hole. The Dragons 32 defeated the Dogs 12 in the last game of round 9. Mate, Dragons to be only up 6.5 times. Like, that first 25 minutes was so error-filled. My goodness. So many errors from both sides. I got a WhatsApp chat with a bunch of mates, and we're just sitting there like, what is this game? How is this first grade standard? Dragons turned it up in the second half. The big talking point from that game was Cole Flanagan getting hooked. And the thing is with this, right, is this. It's the fact that Cole Flanagan will sign to make a big of an impact at the Dogs. He's not to be a long-term halfback. He's going to be there through thick and thin. If you look at where he was at the Sharks, with a decent forward pack, then you look at where he was at the Roosters with a decent forward pack, then he comes to the Dogs with no forward pack. There's a lot that he struggles to do. But it's still not an excuse. Every fifth tackle option is a crossfield kick. We don't have giants from Space Jam there. We've got Nick Meaney, who's small. Kotrick on the other wing, he's big boy, he's built, but they're not tall, they're not giants that can go and catch these balls. We don't put in grubbers, we don't try to get a repeat set, we don't mix it up. And Flanagan's been doing this since he's come into first grade, especially at the Dogs. So I could see why he had to get hooked. Then Lachlan Lewis comes on, then he gets injured, poor bloke. But yeah, we're just a shambles of Dogs. Again, another poor performance. Defensively, it was despicable. To let some of those tries that we let in, just, reserve grade stuff. You got to give it to the Dragons. At least they competed for especially the second half, but they really turned it up. Because apart from that, they weren't great the first half. They need to build. They have a lot to work on, the Dragons. Finally getting their first win in a while. Josh McGuire gets his first win probably all year. They've got a lot to work on. But look, that's a wrap up of round 9. Again, some of these teams really need to just get their head out of their backside and start really aiming up. The news around the NRL Awards. So, Related released a statement on Josh Hodgson and Jarrod Croker. So, Josh Hodgson relinquished the captaincy because of a few things going on at the club. He's relinquished the captaincy. It's now Croker and Elliot Whitehead as the captains of the club. The Cowboys have announced the retention of Scott Drinkwater for 2 years, which is a good re-signing for the club. Glad he didn't jump ship and go elsewhere. Connor Tracy re-signed on a 3-year contract as well. Katoni Staggs re-signed at the Broncos for 4 years. Finally put pen to paper on that deal. TPJ's made it clear he wants to play for New South Wales. Not sure what the change of heart was, but he's really inspired and really wants to make that change and play for the Blues if he's good enough and is selected. Josh Shooter has re-signed with the club for 3 years. Announced this about in January, but finally been put agreed to and pen to paper has been put to at the Seagulls and been officially confirmed. Will Penasini, who I mentioned re-signed to 2022, has actually been extended again till 2023, alongside his teammate David Hollis, both with the club till 2023. Tigers and Dogs have made their interests known in Dale Finucane. Now, at the moment, from what I'm hearing, is that Dale Finucane is torn between taking a reduced offer at Melbourne due to salary cap constraints or taking a big money deal at the Cowboys. We're just waiting to see what happens. Finucane asked for 4 years for Melbourne. Melbourne said no. Best they could do was 2, max 3. But Finucane's looking at a 4-year deal. Cowboys may come to the table with that, but he is leaning more to the Cowboys at this stage. So I'll wait and see from that. Now, Storm signed Xavier Coates on a 2-year deal from 2022. So another one that Broncos have lost. Jared Hayne was sentenced this week to 3 years and 8 months jail for the claim of sexual assault. Don't really have much else to say on that. Jack DeBella has been found not guilty of a rape charge. So of the 6 charges, he's been found not guilty of the 6th one. So the prosecution have until the 28th of May to decide whether they want to go into a third trial. If they go into a third trial, he will remain stood down. If by May 28 they come out and say we're not going to retrial and that we'll leave the decision at that, then Jack DeBella will no longer fall under the no fault stand down policy, and he will be available to play for the Dragons in the next 5-6 weeks. Oliver Gildat, the Wigan centre I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, is making the move to the Tigers. We're just awaiting official confirmation at the moment. Tony Williams has been sacked from the club New York Freedom over in the American Rugby League comp over there, the National American Rugby League, due to comments he made about the Jared Hand scandal. Now, I can understand why he was sacked. What I don't like about this, and what I'm not happy about, is that Danny Widler is a snitch, and he informed the club of the comments that were made. And it was very clear. It's not like it's a hidden thing. You know, when Danny Widler broke the news that he'd be sacked from the American side, New York Freedom, they came out and said, "Oh, thank you, Danny, for letting us know." You imbecile! Why do you need to get involved and bring the club in and say, "Oh, look what he's done"? Like, what do you gain from that? Not only that, he got sacked from Blacktown Workers as well. So now he's gone from having some sort of rugby league to no rugby league at all. And Tony Williams has been known for ruining his career and doing a lot of stupid things, but this Daniel Wilder is a bloody snitch, and I cannot believe that he will go out and run his mouth to the club, who is very irrelevant, considering they've only been made relevant because of Tony Williams. And then they come and said, "Yeah, well, we're not going to stand for that. We're going to sack him." Like, I think it's that Daniel Wilder needs to stay in his business, but then again, that's the world of journalism and the patheticness in that. Nathan Brown has announced he's staying with the Eagles for 2 more years. Finally put pen to paper on that one as well. And former Tigers halfback Robert Louis, currently playing for Leeds Rhinos in the Super League, has confirmed it's his last year there and he'll be making a return to Queensland Cup next year to move his family back to Australia. So that's everything to cover here on the news around the world of the NRL. Let's get straight into Magic Round. Round 10 is Magic Round. A lot of stars missing, but we'll get straight into it. The Tigers come up against the Knights on the Friday night. Michael Maguire's made a host of changes, putting Adam Dwyer from the halves to the centre, from 5'8" to centre, which is very stupid, and putting Mbai at 5'8". Jacob Little will start back at dummy half, and Jake Simpkin has been reverted back to the extended bench. Sean Bloor will make play his first game for the Tigers this year, as well as Jock Madden, who will make his debut for the club on the bench. Stefan Toikamanu is dropped, and Tommy Talau comes back from suspension and takes the spot of Zach Sini. And the Knights are 1-17 for this game. If I'm going to build from last week, I'm going to go the Knights. You know, I think putting Mbai at 5'8" is a huge mistake. You know, Adam Dway's been playing great football. For him to be shafted to the centres to put in Mbai at 5'8" is really poor. So I'm going to go the Knights for this game. Manly come up against Brisbane on the second game on the Friday night. Taniela Paseka and Marty Tapau both been named to start, pushing Sean Kempe to the bench and Zach Sadler, who made his debut on the weekend, to the reserves. For Brisbane, Thomas Fergo will start at lock for Patrick Carrigan, who's unfortunately torn his ACL. All the best with the recovery. And Johnny Asiata will take that spot on the bench for him. I think I'm going to go Manly this game. As long as Tom Dvorovich is playing, I'm going to back Manly, and I just think he will terrorise this Brisbane side, and just rip them apart. The Dogs come up against the Raiders on the Saturday. Now, Brendan Rakin will come into the side to partner Jake Averill in the halves in the halfback role, taking the spot of Kyle Flanagan, who's been dropped. Nick Meaney moves to the centres in place of Corey Allen, who's done his shoulder out for 1 to 3 weeks. Tui Katoa comes back on the wing. Dylan Harper comes back into the side after being alleged scratching from that shoulder injury, pushing Avasi Moni Fanai back to the bench. And Corey Waddell and Renouf for Tony will swap between lock and second row respectively. And Matt Dewey will take the last spot on the bench and replace Okahivi Ogden. For the Raiders, Temi Valame will replace Jordan Rapana, who's injured his shoulder, and Hunter Young will replace Ryan Sutton, who's injured his elbow. Both out this week. Josh Hodgson comes back into the bench alongside Dynamis Louis and Ryan James, taking the spots of Joe Tarpanay, who's injured his MCL, out for 1 to 3 weeks, and Saliva Havili, who's been dropped altogether from the side. It's a tough one, this one. You know, both clubs not in really good form. You know who I'm backing, but this would be the perfect game. Raiders can really turn it around, so tip wisely. Sharks coming up against the Rabbitohs. Josh Dugan's taking the spot of Jesse Ramian, who's fractured his eye socket. And Andrew Fafita will replace Billy Magulius and play his first game of the year. For the Rabbitohs, Reynolds will take his spot back in the starting side with Benji Marshall moving into 5'8", and Dean Hawkins to the reserves. Tanya Miller has been brought in on the wing, which will let Gagai go back to the centres, and Stephen Masters will move to the extended bench once again. Liam Knight will be moved from the interchange to swap with Dry Arrow, who'll be moving straight into lock and Arrow back off the bench, while Hame Saleh will take the spot of Patrick Margot on the bench. Look, with Adam Reynolds back in the 7, controlling the ship, I'm going to go the Rabbitohs this game. I think, you know, just the way the Sharks are going, I don't think they're really up for it. And I think the Rabbitohs really need to bounce back, especially with the heavy defeat they copped against the Storm last week. The Roosters come up against the Cowboys in the last game on the Saturday night of Magic Round. Lachlan Lamb will turn at 5'8" for Drew Hutchinson, who's injured his ribs. As Atila Tupouniua is back on suspension, coming to the back row, which pushes Nat Butcher to the interchange and Tuku Howard Tapuha, who debuted on the weekend, to the reserves. Victor Radley, who came off HIA, and Sam Walker both been named, although they are carrying some injuries. And the Cowboys are 1-17 in this game as well. So, by looking at the side, I'm going to go Cowboys this game. Bit of a surprise here. I'm going to go Cowboys by about 8 to 10 points. I don't think there'll be much in this game. The Warriors are coming up against the Eels. Ben Miller-Priscilla will return from suspension. From concussion. Take the spot of Bailey Sirinen, who dropped to the reserves. For the Eels, Brad Arthur has named his son Jacob Arthur to debut for the club, coming in at 5'8" to take the spot of Dylan Brown, who's suspended. Wonga Blake makes his return from a calf injury to take the spot of Marata Niukore. Reid Marnie and Nathan Brown both been named as well. Sean Lane will go back to the bench. Ray Stone will take the spot of Hayes Dunstar on the bench as well. Now, as we know, there's current drivers with the Eels team at the moment. Some of their players went and played New South Wales Cup when they were told not to be part of the NRL squad. They're just currently facing some issues at the moment. So they've got to name a 21-man squad. Just a matter of seeing whether they'll be able to play or not would be the interesting one. Now, for this game, I want to go the Warriors, but I think the Eels will get the job done. Even though Dylan Brown's missing, I reckon they'll still get the job done here. And they should do it by about 14 points. 14 points will be in the margin there. The Storm come up against the Dragons this game. Brendan Smith has been suspended for 1 week after that shoulder charge. Harry Grant has done his hamstring. He's out for 2 weeks. And Cameron Munster has done his foot for 2 weeks as well. Pappenhauser has been named in the reserves. So there's been a lot of changes here. So Bellamy's named Riley Jacks at 5'8" and put Kenny Bromwich at hooker. Tui Kamika shifts to second row, and Dale Finucane will start at lock, with Tyson Smoothie and Tom Eisenhuth joining the bench. And for the Saints, Mikaeli Ravalawa was sent for suspension on the wing, take the spot of Matt Figo, while Pawasa Famawasili will place the spot of Junior Ammonia on the bench in that game. Now, Storm are missing a few casualties. I reckon Pappenhausen will come in as a late inclusion, but I'll go to the Storm by 12 here. I think the Stormers will take care of it, and they'll do it by 12 points. Last game of the round, Titans will come up against the Panthers. Titans were unchanged until Dave Fafita got suspended and couldn't reduce that charge, so he'll be out for the next 2 weeks. We're yet to confirm who will be filling that spot at this present time. For the Panthers, Kurt Kepper will miss a week after a failed HIA in round 9. Liam Martin will start in the back row, and Jermaine Hopgood will make his debut for the club after being extended into a top 30 contract not long ago. And everything else is the same. Momorowski is now available from that suspension, but with Matt Burton playing wonderful football, he'll stay 18th man. And Panthers, again, I reckon will take the bickies in this one. Guys, thanks so much for joining me on another episode of League Chat with the Stat. I will be at Magic Round, so if you do see me, come in, say hello, let's grab a photo. But look, guys, as I said, as we broke, in the start of the show, hats are finally here. They'll be made to purchase for you guys very soon. So if you guys want to get on it, buy a hat, all the pricing information will be there. But I'm very excited the hat to finally drop. But they'll be coming very soon for you guys, and you'll get to be part of history. Being part of the first bit of merch to be dropping through. This will be the first of many, so we're just going to do a test run, see how it goes. Guys, thanks again for joining me. You have yourselves a lovely week. Enjoy Magic Round and see if you come see me. Say hello. If not, enjoy the week. Enjoy Rugby League at Suncorp Stadium all week. And we'll come back next week, same time, to discuss everything round 10. See you guys. Take care.